One. So again, here we are, and today we are doing a Q&A tour with some photographs and some filming from requested locations from our three lovely ladies today. As usual, I am your guide, Catriona, and if you have any questions, let me know, and hopefully this might prove useful to somebody else who watches it after the fact. So we're going to start with Dunfermline, because Ruth got that in first. Now I'll give you a wee bit of information about Dunfermline Abbey, because you asked me. Dunfermline Abbey was the main part of the abbey was actually built by David I of Scotland. Okay. His mother was Margaret, who was Saint Margaret, as you know, who has her little chapel in Edinburgh Castle. Yeah, you're great. Yeah, she's buried within the abbey itself as well. So it's a very holy place, and it's where the kings of Scotland then started to gravitate towards. And it would have been because of the Saint Margaret connection, because she's so holy. She's been given a sainthood, and so that's very important to them. It's got so many Scottish kings, I think 17 Scottish kings. It's said to have, now this is a myth, but it's said to have outside, and there's a little tree, there's supposed to be the remains of William Wallace's mother, but like there's nothing necessarily to back that up.
Where is it?
See, it just like you've got the abbey, just round the side of the abbey, there's like
I meant where is Dunfermline?
Oh, Dunfermline. Dunfermline is just north of Edinburgh. So you've got Edinburgh. I actually have my atlas, ladies.
It's easy to get there on the train. You just head north across the Firth.
Yeah, the Firth of Forth. Let me just. So the Firth is just a geographical, or rather a term given to the estuary, the mouth of the river. Let me just get my maps up, because I'll show you this. I'll share this screen with you actually. Okay. And that might be quite handy for you to see.
Trying to get down. Come on. I'm putting you down.
Oh.
He doesn't want to get down.
But Mom.
I know.
What's that all about? Right.
I'm going forever, so he wants a lot of attention.
So I'm just going to share this with you now, ladies.
Okay.
So this says Dunfermline. So I'm just going to zoom out for you.
Oh, okay.
So there's Edinburgh. This is Queensferry. So this is actually where we meet a lot of our tours.
Oh, okay.
It's actually called South Queensferry. On the other side is North Queensferry. So it's South Queensferry and North Queensferry. That's how we determine it. And then you get to Dunfermline, which is part of Fife. And then you can see some other places. It's really easy to get to. This is the bridge. You've got the rail bridge and the two road bridges here. I'm just going to see if I could show you the rail, because it's only got the two going over here now. So that will be the road bridges it's showing me. And I think that's the bridge that you, Ruth, and Sherry were going along it on the wrong side of the road or something.
An adventure.
Right, adventure. There's Curas. So when we go to Curas, there's Curas. So Dunfermline is very close. That's not even 15 minutes away from one another.
Oh.
Okay, so it's very close. So let me just take the site itself is managed by Historic Environment Scotland. So the actual abbey and the palace part is managed by Historic Scotland, but the actual church section is privately run. So that's run by an active congregation, and they've got like a little Friends of Dunfermline shop. So like members of similar to like Glasgow Cathedral and these other places. So they kind of share custody of this ancient building. And I'll just stop that now.
God, it's beautiful.
it is gorgeous. I'll see, I do have some photos, but before I do, I'll see if I can show you some outside footage of it.
You're very lucky. You like have a castle in every corner.
We really do. We really do. It's crazy. So I'm going to show you, I think this one. I just have to pick one and go with it. So I'm just going to share this. I don't know if this is going to be any good, but hopefully it looks like it's got some good aerial footage of it. So it gives you a nice panoramic. Or rather, let's put it back like that. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Beautiful.
There's nobody there. It must be just recently filmed. That's a nice centre over here, like a library there. It's a really nice place to go in.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes. Usually we park down here.
Jeez.
And this is the, that's where you actually pay. And if you, just behind, you can't see it, but that's where you pay to get in. And this is part of the church here that you can go in and see, but you go in it from the other side. The entrance is on the other side.
Oh, okay.
So this is now the park. Just quickly, it's also very famous, Dunfermline, for being the birthplace of a very famous Scotsman who went to America and became the richest man in America. Any guesses as to who that may be?
Andrew Carnegie.
Yes.
Wow.
So Andrew Carnegie was from
His father's
Dunfermline.
tailor shop is still in business there, is it not?
I'm not entirely sure. Not entirely sure, to be fair.
My
It
mother
may be.
visited there about 25 years or so ago, and she bought some linen at that shop to make a fair linen for her church's altar.
Oh.
Okay. I'll have to have a wee look and see.
Those trees are beautiful.
Aren't they lovely? This is the park that's right next to it. So you can go, like, a lot of people don't do this because they don't have time. The last group that I took to Dunfermline Abbey, they were not the most mobile either. So they kind of stuck to the church, mainly the church section. They didn't even go into the ruined historic Scotland section. They didn't pay anything. Or maybe one, I think maybe one did. She went off on her own. But everybody else kind of stayed with me, and I was just kind of manning the fort. But it's not very common that we have time to do this. I might be wrong though, because Helmut does it quite a lot, and he's like having a wee snooze here next to me.
He's allowed.
He
At
is.
the back of the church is the place represented by 3 granite slabs where St. Margaret's tomb was before Cromwell destroyed it.
Yes.
And at the time that she and Malcolm were alive, that entire part of the grounds was enclosed by the church. So they were actually buried in a special tomb inside the church. But that part of the church was destroyed.
Well, we're learning quite a lot about Dunfermline, to be fair. There's a chap I know, who sometimes works at Blackness Castle, and he is a PhD in medieval Scottish history.
Oh,
And he is just my best friend when we're together. And because one of the other things about Bruce, about Dunfermline, is it's the final resting place of Bruce. Now, when you go into Dunfermline Abbey, and I'll see if I can find it for you. Just actually, I'll talk about this as we're going through. Here we go. So, oh, it could be a relation of mine because they're called Jim Ramsey. So I'm just going to do, I don't know the quality of this particular film either, just because I'm just going to show you, because it might give you a good idea about the inside rather than just the outside. And I'm going to keep the volume off for now. Let's hopefully this advert ends. Oh, there we go. So this is obviously just outside the Abbey.
King? Wow.
it's Robert the Bruce.
But I'll show you inside. So this is, we've seen quite a bit outside. Let's come inside. This is inside the main church, okay? And it gives you a kind of sense of the inside now.
And it's an active church.
Yeah.
Yes, there you can see it right there.
Look at the pipes.
When I was there, they were doing a wedding rehearsal, and the priest was giving the young couple some wise words of wisdom. And I just kind of quietly sat in the back until they were finished, and then I kind of wandered around on my own.
Last time I was in there, they were doing a wedding rehearsal as well, interestingly.
Oh.
So they do them quite often. This is
Oh, look at those
on the
columns.
other side. This is going towards, so you can go in two ways. So this section is actually still managed by Historic Scotland. Interestingly, so we've just left the church. I thought they would show you at least. Oh yeah, they do. They come back in the way in a moment.
Look at that. The craftsmanship. Oh,
There, okay. So
There's his tomb.
this is supposed to be Robert the Bruce's tomb. However, it is highly unlikely it is.
Oh.
It's more likely to be David the First of Scotland.
Oh,
Now, unfortunately, a lot of what we know about these places comes from Victorians
yes.
in particular. They were digging people up and making plaster casts. Now, apparently he was wrapped in a shroud, well, gold in the shroud, and there were some other elements that would pertain to being a king. And because they knew that the Bruce, because remember at this time, the famous kings of Scotland, or the famous people or legends of Scotland, were obviously, they had three. They had, or four, I could say, that were celebrated in the Victorian period. A lot of it because of Sir Walter Scott. So you had Robert the Bruce, William Wallace, Rob Roy, and Robert Burns. So these four figures are very, like, they're just part of the Scottish psyche, because in some ways Walter Scott brought them out into the open again, kind of revitalized their story through his pieces, through his stories. So when they came here, everybody's like, oh yes, of course, it must be the Bruce. And they then back this up because the mold that they've taken off his head, obviously this has now been looked at in modern day, and they've done a kind of what Bruce might have looked like thing from it. And in fact, his nose was all caved in, and there's some other damage in his front here, because the myth, I think it was a myth, is that Bruce had leprosy.
Oh,
So what they
Never
say
heard
is
of
that your face caves in with it, you know, your all your nose and that just kind of rots away. So they were like, this must be it. And as the chap who's a good friend of mine, whose friend was very involved in the projects at Dunfermline, he said, well, the thing is, you don't know if that skull was like that before or after they took the plaster cast.
yeah.
Also, they're kind of guessing that it was Bruce, because it makes far more sense that in the centre here of this new wonderful church, you'll have the man who built it. Bruce would have been with his family, who are in another section of the church.
Oh,
So it doesn't make much sense, other than that's the story that has been told for the past, 150 years or so. So to me, I find it fascinating how, even though the past has happened, we can still learn about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Not like, okay, let's just discuss somebody else. It's like we can still discover it. That's what I find fascinating about it.
Mhm.
So this man here, although, you never know, it could have been Bruce, and he could have had leprosy. The likelihood, though, there's no substantiated accounts of him having it, other than looking at a skull that may or may not be his, that may or may not have been damaged during its casting. So
was that prevalent back in that time?
yeah,
Leprosy?
leprosy was, yeah.
Oh,
Bruce's generation, that's when it started to die out in Europe, but it definitely was a thing.
that's so nasty. Oh,
It is awful, and the reason why they called Bruce out, so Bruce is the man who gave Scotland independence, or gave Scotland its independence back, or won Scotland's freedom back from English occupation. So English accounts of Bruce, unfortunately, have dictated our history. So it's all the English chronicles, even all sorts of things about Bruce murdering Comyn in a church. If you read the original accounts to that, it's like there was a fight, but the accounts get more and more grotesque. Some of the accounts about that particular event were written decades, if not centuries, after they lived and after the event happened. So, and it's very, I read somebody else's paper about it, fascinating stuff when you read it. But the thing was that because he blasphemed, he murdered somebody or killed somebody in a church, I rather use the word killed, he killed somebody in a church, he was smited by God. So leprosy, that's what it was believed to be. It was, you were damned, you were literally, you were cursed by God himself. And so that is why it makes perfect sense that they would say he had this awful disease, whether he did or not, but that's why it had such a stigma for such a long time, which is probably why he's famous for it. Nobody would have ever really encountered the Bruce other than, his close men or whatever. Back in the Middle Ages, nobody had photographs or paintings and or like realistic paintings of what you look like. So, he could have been the king, and he took his crown off at the end of the night and went to a local pub, and nobody would have known who he was. Like, that's what being a king back then. Yeah, of course, because it's not accessible. You're not really that accessible.
That's what King Alfred was known for in England. He would sneak out of the castle and go among the people to see how things were going. And he encountered a woman. He needed a place to stay, and she lived in a forest. And he asked her if he could spend the night, and she said yes. And I'm fixing supper, watch the muffins while I fix the rest of supper. And he let the muffins burn. And she fussed at him. She didn't know she was fussing at her king.
oh, wow.
Well, in England, it was a different matter, or, compared to in Scotland.
Yeah.
So James IV and James V famously would sneak out and pretend to be other people. But when they were as they were, a young James V of Scotland went hunting near Stirling Castle, and he got a bit drunk with his friends and was showing off, and he shot some old lady's cow for, like, you know, with a bow and arrow, and thought this was hilarious with him and his friends, taking this one woman's, obviously her life away, because a cow is very important. It's for your milk and for mainly milk. Yeah, so you need it. So she marched up to the castle. She knocked on the door. She demanded an audience with the king, which you could do. The king saw her. She explained her grievance, and he apologized and bought her a new cow.
Glad he did the right thing.
Well, he had to. He would have had a rebellion on his hands if he didn't.
Yeah.
That's the way the Scots have always been. So I'm just going to stop that now and just see if I can find some of our pictures of Dunfermline, our own pictures of Dunfermline. I'm sure we have some in here somewhere.
There's a delightful tea room just outside the boundaries of the Abbey. If you go like straight out the back gate from where the tomb of St. Margaret is, you just walk straight through a gateway. There's a place on the left called the Abbot's House, I think. And it's a wonderful place to have a bit of lunch.
Oh, nice. I'll have to give it a wee, as we say in Scotland, a wee swatch.
Yes.
Next time I'm in Dunfermline, if I ever get there.
A wee swatch.
If you leave the home again.
If I ever get to go to Dunfermline, please, what happens in Dunfermline stays in Dunfermline.
Got that one right.
What I mean.
Right now, anyway.
Right now, exactly. Let's just go back to my trip pics. There we go. I've got that many folders, so. I'm just going down one too many. Here we are. Okay, so I'm just going to share this with you. Oh no, I can't share it with you. Hold on a second. I was going to make the same mistake I did at this beginning. I have to fully open it first. There we go. Otherwise, you just look at my folder.
Oh,
okay.
Lovely folder.
It's full. So this is outside.
Oh, yes.
And I think Helmut took a picture of a squirrel in here. Oh, there we go. There's Robert the Bruce. Lovely stained glass windows. One of the guides. So they have.
What's that thing on top of them? That wooden thing.
Oh, this thing? Oh, this thing. That's like the pulpits. Yes. Yeah, so that's where the minister goes up and stands in there.
Oh my goodness.
They climb the stair. So that's quite common, especially in these bigger churches, although it is a Church of Scotland. So it's not a Catholic or an Episcopal, it is a Church of Scotland. And there's the Bruce skull.
Maybe.
Maybe. So you can see the teeth and the nose. And this is the Wallace tree I was telling you about.
Oh, yeah.
Just a story.
But
But you never know. It would be nice to think, wouldn't it?
When was the Abbey built? Do you have that info?
Yeah, I do. Hold on a wee second there.
It's had several incarnations.
Yeah, it was like a little like a kill before, like a little Christian
They just
settlement.
added to it.
Yeah, so it was rebuilt by David the First. Hold on a wee second. I'll give you a full rundown of it now with all the correct.
How long did it take to build something like this?
Well, it all depends on how much money you have and how and also what you want your legacy to be. So for example, like Roslin Chapel, the small part of Roslin Chapel, which is probably some of the best masonry you'll see in Scotland in the medieval period. So that's the 15th century. That took them, you know, that was 50 years in the making.
Holy moly.
And even the 50 years, it wasn't finished, and the son wasn't really that bothered, and then the Reformation happened, so it just kind of stopped. But that kind of gives you an idea. Let's come here. So let's go to the history. So Dunfermline's story stretches back to the 11th century, the time of Malcolm III and his Queen Margaret. Their son David I raised the status of the little priory, so that's what I was trying to think of, like a little church, to abbey in the 12th century. He endowed it richly and brought stonemasons from Durham Cathedral to build it. The abbey church is famous as the mausoleum of Margaret, later known or canonized as St. Margaret, David I, and Robert I. So David I is the one I think that Bruce actually is, if that makes sense, where his resting place is. And Robert I is Robert the Bruce himself.
Oh.
So I just wanted to kind of go into it a wee bit more detail. So yeah, it basically in 1128, David had a new church built on a grand scale. He had the Romanesque pillars built, which are similar to those at Durham. And it's the same reason why the Masons carved them like that. In 1250, St. Margaret's remains were moved to an elaborate shrine at the east of the church. A 19th century parish church, the Abbey Church, now stands on the site of the choir and presbytery. This is the location of the tomb of Robert I and the other royals buried here. So it doesn't actually put in.
I would add something. When they were moving her tomb, she died in 1093. Well, she and Malcolm died within days of each other in 1093 and were buried in the same coffin.
Oh, Lord.
And when she was going to be canonized in like 1250 or something like that,
That's right, yeah.
they thought that she needed a more suitable tomb for a saint, so they were going to put her in one and have him in another, and they couldn't separate them. They were eternally embracing even in death, and so they built an elaborate shrine that Cromwell did away with.
Mm.
Yep, he wasn't the nicest guy. He was
No.
a bit of a vandal. He liked to vandalize things. So I just want to explain just very quickly the kings and queens buried at the chapel. If it works. Well, I should also say at Dunfermline Palace, that's where the last Scottish monarch, like the last Stuart monarch, male Stuart monarch actually, was born. And that was Charles I in Scotland, in a Scottish context. So the last place a Stuart king or queen was born was at Dunfermline. And that was Charles I, the guy who did not get on very well with Charles, with Cromwell.
Not at all.
No, they didn't like each other at all. So here, I said 17 for some reason. So there's 7 kings buried at Dunfermline.
Wow.
Only the Bruce in the Abbey has any identifying features. That's all they've got, really. So I think there's 11 royals. Oh, so no, that would kind of make up to where I was. So yeah, anyway, long story short. That's who we know. That's who we know.
Thank
So I'm
you.
just going to stop that just now. So that was Dunfermline. Wait a minute. I think, oh no, there is a few more pictures actually. Sorry, I was a bit premature there. I just want to show you these very quickly. So this is just,
Oh,
you can see the board, what it would have looked like. And a wee timeline. This is just outside. There's the wee squirrel we were talking about.
Mhm.
that squirrel.
Jeez.
It's gorgeous.
Sherry, we've got to go there when we
We
get
can,
our trip.
we can do
Last
that.
one. So that was Dunfermline. So the next place we're going to go is to Stirling.
My phone makes noises.
No, that's fine. So let's quickly go. I'm going to start off by taking us to photographs of Stirling. How many pictures do you think I've got of Stirling?
Quite a few.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Not
boy.
not as many as you think, but yeah, no, I've put them all in other folders as well. So
Oh, I just need basic Stirling.
just basic. Right, let's go.
The castle, you want to find that supermarket.
Yeah, I'm convinced.
Now, just because this is in the folder, guys, I'm going to share this with you as well, just because it's here. And I just happen to have it in the Stirling folder, and I don't know why I've opened it. So hold on a wee second. Let's get it back again. Okay, so this is just to quickly show you. Oh. Show all windows. There we go. Ah, it doesn't like that. Okay, ignore that whole thing. It doesn't like that particular folder.
Okay.
For some reason. I was going to show you the Falkirk wheel, but oh well.
Oh, yes.
Let's see where I
The
take you
Falkirk
now.
wheel. Oh, the Falkirk wheel. Okay.
That is fascinating.
It's just it's in my folder for some reason. So let's just quickly share. So here we go. Okay, there we go. So now we are in Stirling. Okay. So this is taken up from by the car park. Cemeteries on either side, and you can see just over there is the Wallace Monument.
Now.
Just over here.
Well, they are not having, well, I don't know.
And this down here is the munitions. This is the old wall here. So we're actually walking towards where they have the tapestry museum at the castle.
Oh.
These are not in any order. This is in the Great Hall at Stirling Castle.
Oh, Mac.
This hall is famous across Scotland because it was built by James IV of Scotland, who's known as the Renaissance King of Scotland, and he built this. He didn't build it. I always say that he built it. He didn't build it. He had it built. No, he had it built to be the grandest Great Hall in much of Europe. It doesn't. I mean, it is fantastic when you go inside. Do not get me wrong. But what I would say is some people are maybe a little anticlimax from that. I mean, you've all been to Versailles and some other places in France, and you're like, this is nothing. But not really. I mean, back in the late 15th, early 16th centuries, having this much glass in here would have been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Also, in this roof, so the castle itself was used as a military barracks pretty much since the Jacobite rebellion in 1745. It had been actually probably before that, since about 1707, it had been a military kind of post. But it remained within the ward of the Duke of Argyll for his Argylls. So the Argyll and now Sutherland Highlanders are famous as this being their base. And when you go to Stirling Castle, you can also see the museum of their regiment inside. But being a barracks, a lot of the castle, as you could probably imagine, military men are they're not very fluffy or fancy. Things have a function and that's it. So this could have been somewhere where the men slept, or a mess, or whatever, you know what I mean? It wasn't still a great hall. They didn't look after it the way it should have been looked after. So it was kind of left. So the roof you see here is actually, was re-put back in here in the 1960s, and there's not one nail in that roof.
Wow.
It's just with wooden pegs.
Oh my gosh.
So it's phenomenal work. And there's a similar ceiling you can see in Edinburgh Castle as well, in that Great Hall, although Stirling Great Hall is far superior to the Edinburgh Castle one. The Edinburgh Castle, they've got some like weird red paint everywhere. I don't know. I prefer this one.
Yeah. Simple.
And it was favoured. Obviously, it's a royal castle. The king would have been here quite often. It is a major power base in Scotland. Stirling sits in the middle of the country, and I'm going to just stop sharing that. I'll come back and share that with you again in a moment. But I just want to show you on a map really where Stirling is and why it's so important to defend. So you can just see where this red dot is. Keep coming out, keep coming out. There we go. So that's pretty much Scotland right there.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Stirling is such an important place because it manages. So by this point, obviously Edinburgh, this is the Forth River that comes in here. The Forth River goes all the way out here from the sea, comes all the way in, all the way to Stirling. Anyway, just a random fact there. You get the Forth River in Stirling as well. And it comes all the way in. So this is a very important place because once you get up here, prior to the 17th, well, round about the Third Jacobite Rebellion, there was not very many roads in Scotland up here. Not effective ones anyway. You don't, you can't take many horses and armies and whatever. So the passes naturally are your only way through, and you can see there's like natural passes which come through all the glens, through to Perth, and Perth is quite close to obviously Dundee. This is another river, this is the Tay, which comes in here. So this is a very important place as well, but between here and here, it's only half an hour drive, but you want to protect the middle of your country. So if Edinburgh's gone, you want to keep this to stop anything coming over and into the Highlands and so on, and then being able to completely take Scotland, and also south as well, and east and west. So it's a very important place. So that gives you a good idea of the geography.
Amazing.
So that's why the kings favoured it because it's naturally fortified. So it's built on an extinct volcano. So it's difficult. Stirling Castle has never just been taken. Same as Edinburgh Castle, it's never just been taken. It's been surrendered, but you've never had an army who managed to breach it and that's it. You know, they might have managed to blast a wall and the guys went, okay, we give up and we surrender, but it's never just been taken by pure brute force like that. Okay, so it's very well defended.
Yeah.
And this
What'd
is
you
out
see
the
of-
main courtyard here. Let's see if I can just show you where we are. So it's actually quite funny because this section here, I'm looking at it and you know, I forgot what it looked like because it's been under scaffold for about 2 years
Oh, wow.
because they've been doing a lot of work on it. This is where you find the museum. This is the male toilets, and this is the museum for the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. And they've been doing a lot of work, so it wasn't open for the whole of last season. It was supposed to be reopening. Who knows if it's going to reopen when the season opens? I don't know if they were able to continue with their work. But whenever I was there, I was like, when's it going to be finished? And they're like, maybe like next month, and then it would be the next month and the next month. So that's quite cool. This is now inside the Chapel Royal. So this is the church part.
Wow.
It obviously started its life out as a Catholic place. This is where James VI of Scotland was originally baptized. He's obviously a Protestant king eventually, but his mother, Mary, Queen of Scots, had his christening in here. He was baptized in here. And she was obviously a very devout Catholic. I think this was my picture I took because you can tell I'm not as good at taking pictures as some of the other guys. I was doing a panoramic by the looks of things. This is actually quite good to show you. This is where the castle tour meets. They do a tour usually between on every half an hour. They do a tour, sometimes more frequently, but that might not be like that next year. So usually it's on the half hour. So on the hour and on the half hour. And it's about a half an hour tour around some of the parts of the castle.
It's really
this is on
big.
top one of the gates. It's massive. It's a massive,
Huge.
massive fortification, but no supermarket.
It's ginormous. Oh,
Here's this now. Oh,
Pretty.
amazing.
Is
This
there a
isn't
story
Stirling.
about that tomb that looks like a pyramid?
oh yes, I'll go to that in a second. This here shouldn't be here. This looks like it's on the Forth River. I remember this tour because Helmut and I did it together, but I think, but I don't know. It's the same day here. This is in the church graveyard. So I'll just get it up for you. Here we go. So it's called the Star Pyramid. And let me just get it up here. There we go. So let's get it up. So the Church of the Holy Rood, which means the rood means the cross. So that's the cross that Christ was on when he was crucified. So the Church of the Holy Rood is just down from the castle. You'll see that as you're coming up to the castle on your left-hand side, the church itself. And It's known as the Church of the Holyrood, because, and like Holyrood, so Holyrood would have got its name from that as well. Because back in the Middle Ages, they used to, you know, buy trinkets, and they'd have, you know, trinkets of things to do with Christ or a saint, right? So this would have been a piece of the cross that they buried on the church, at the church. So it says the cemetery has a pyramid built by William Drummond in 1863. William Drummond was a land surveyor and a nurseryman whose immediate descendants were a well-known family in Stirling. They were responsible for a wide range of activities both locally and nationally. These included the establishment of an agricultural museum in the 1830s, an extensive seed and nursery business, exploration in Africa, and the Drummond Tract Enterprise, the foremost 19th century publisher of religious pamphlets. William was the eldest son of the well-known Stirling family, which included Peter Drummond and his nephew Henry. He was one of the instigators of the Valley Cemetery, and his obsession with religion can be seen in the Martyrs Monument and the Star Pyramid, also known as Salem's Rock. It's interesting. He commissioned the Star Pyramid from William Barclay in 1863. Notes the white marble Bibles incorporated by Barley around the base of the edifice and the names of religious tracts published by his brother Peter's Drummond Tract Enterprise. The pyramid is dedicated to all those who suffered martyrdom in the cause of civil and religious liberty in Scotland. William planted a pleasure garden around the pyramid, complete with trees and plants. He also paid for 5 of the 6 statues seen in various parts of the graveyard and donated trees to be planted around the National Wallace Monument. So there you go.
Very generous.
They did a lot of that kind of stuff. It made them feel better about the other stuff they were involved in, you know. True.
Okay.
They weren't the nicest folks. So let's come here. They didn't make their money from being the nice guys, you know what I mean? Exploitation of people, of movement of people, of trafficking of people, and so on and so forth. So there it is. CC Union banner. It's got it there.
Perfect.
This is the Boer War Memorial outside, obviously, to the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. It's obviously of a Highlander. There is my group. I was driving the car and Helmut was driving the 9-seater behind us. And it was their first time they'd ever seen snow.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
This was at a place called Loch Lubnig. And they made us stop. And I said, look, guys, we can stop here for 5 minutes. I said, but if it gets any heavier, we're not going anywhere. So, you know, have your snowball fight and get back. They were so excited. Now we're back inside the castle. I told you we're jumping around a bit in this one. They have costumed actors and historians who man the palace. The palace was built by James, or again, I say that, organised by James V of Scotland for his new wife, Mary de Guise. And I'm currently in this room in the Queen's bedchamber. This would not have been where she would have slept. This would have been her hangout, her chill out space. But it was called the Queen's bedchamber because it's more of a symbolism to people to come into that space. This is where she is going to give you all her secrets, and you are almost equal with the Queen or the King when you're in their bedchambers. But they would never have disclosed where they actually slept for a number of reasons. Assassination attempts. There would be the fact that these rooms are much bigger, so they're not the warmest to heat. You can imagine being in a big drafty room trying to sleep in the cold Scottish winter. So they would have probably been in a smaller space just for their own comfort's sake. Oh, there's the healing coos. I didn't even see them last year. They weren't even there last year, but they're usually there in the summer months. They sit in the fields next to the kings and the queens, not in front of Stirling Castle. So this is the castle on top of the extinct volcano there. Wow. And you can see it for miles around, eh? You can really see it.
Ginormous.
So this is, I was mentioning we were inside the Great Hall. This is the outside of the Great Hall here. And this is the outside of the palace here. This is inside the Great Hall again, pretending we're king and queen. And this is taken in the Great Hall just from the other side. If anyone wants to know, no, I shouldn't tell you, but there is a secret toilet in there that nobody knows about.
Good to know.
So in the palace, you'll see these amazing things. So you will see things like the Stirling tapestries. You'll see the Stirling heads as well. So the Stirling tapestries are replicas. You'll see the original ones. I think they're in New York somewhere. And these are just information about the various different tapestries and what they meant. The unicorn is supposed to symbolize Christ.
Oh.
Years ago, I had a jigsaw puzzle based on that unicorn that's next to a tree, and there's nobody else in the picture.
This one? Oh, wait a minute. I think I know which one you were talking about. Oh, no. I think I might have gone too far.
That one that was on the wall.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. This one.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the more famous ones, yeah.
It's a fun jigsaw puzzle.
I know. My goodness. But imagine being the guy to fix this up. But this is interesting because you'll see that the unicorn looks like he's stabbing the deer and whatever, the dogs and everything. But no, it's to show he's actually healing the animals as they're all trying to kill him.
Oh.
Because that's one of the stories of Christ, you know, he's not going to hurt anybody, even if they're wanting to hurt him. There, he's healing the dog, so it's a hunting dog.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and this is the Argyle's lodging, which is just down from the castle. If you have time, it is worth a visit. And then this is just taken on the other side there.
Ugh.
Inside the cemetery. Put you back over there. Here we go.
Oh, that's
awesome.
stonework.
Look at that. Jeez.
And then I'm at Dooncastle randomly. But that's just taken over. It's quite cool. It looks like there's a volcano there. Then we're in Dooncastle. This is before I was doing Outlander tours, I think. This doesn't even exist in the castle anymore. This is again taken from the castle from Stirling. This is just a picture of this was the King's Knot and the Queen's Knot, and it was put together for the coronation of Charles I when he came to Scotland. Oh, look! This group are my Outlander group. They're the ones who told me about Outlander.
Oh, okay.
The Coloradans. We're now at Bannockburn, which is nearby. So you've got the Robert the Bruce statue there at Bannockburn, the site of one of his most famous victories. This is the Bannockburn monument here. Now I'm back at Dooncastle. Look, there's no scaffolding, guys. And look, there's people on the roof. That's how old this picture is. And there's my Outlander ring. How funny is that? I took this picture. Thinking I was so funny.
That's great.
Honestly. And there's my son.
How old is he now?
11.
Oh, time passes quickly.
Sure does. This here is Rob Roy's grave, which is in the area, so or near-ish by. This is at a place called Balquidder, which is on the way towards Loch Lomond from Stirling. And I just love that. People go up and leave trinkets, McGregor tartan, and
That's cool.
very peaceful, nice place to visit. And there, I was saying, and there's my youngest daughter with her little saltire. So she was only 2.5 here.
Oh,
She's now 8.
Oh,
That was the
she's
first
cute.
ever Outlander tour I did with testing on my children. So this is in the Balquidder Kirk. So the sheep everywhere. And there's a wee burn that goes right down the side. More sheep. As
Oh,
if I had never seen sheep before. Back at Stirling Castle.
how
They're
many
not in
sheep do
any
you have?
order. There's the other Robert the Bruce statue. This one is now at Stirling Castle. Now this is a tour I did with another lady who's now been with me now 3 times in a row. She was with me last in like August, no, September. It was September last year. And this was the year before that I took her here, that I took these pictures. So it's about the Battle of Stirling Bridge, which is famously Wallace's victory against the English. It was Wallace and Andrew de Moray, who sadly died. So this is the river they were crossing over here to get across the bridge. It's a nice view. Some nice swans. I was just taking nice pictures of them. Now we're randomly at the Drovers Inn.
Oh, that was so much fun.
it was. It really was.
Now we're back at the Bannockburn, back at Stirling. Okay, now we're back to the beginning of our pictures. So that is pretty much Stirling. So have you got any questions?
Thank you.
You're happy with it? It's
Yep.
not just, there's no supermarket, but there is a supermarket nearby. There's a few supermarkets nearby. There's a big Tesco and a big Asda, maybe. Sainsbury's, I think.
Do you
Yeah,
have
that's fine.
pictures of Clava Cairns?
I sure do. Let's just.
That was a magical place. I will
was.
never forget. I think I must have inhabited that place in a previous life because it was just such a magical, wonderful place for me to be.
So this is at the Clava Cairns, and I think this is a slightly old board. So I don't know how old these pictures are. Again, you can tell it's me taking a picture most likely, because I've liked doing these kind of panoramic almost things for a while. So the Clava Cairns is probably about 4 miles from where Culloden is, and not too far from Inverness, the city itself. Like, the problem with Inverness is it's got actually pretty bad traffic. So it's a pain in the backside driving around Inverness, but I'd say it would take me about 20, 25 minutes with traffic to get from here to the middle of Inverness. It's not actually that far. It's just because you've got roundabout and traffic light, roundabout and traffic light, roundabout and traffic light. So, but there you have it. So, So they are about, they believe between 3,000 and 4,000 years old. So there's three of them that we can see. So there's one just over here, one over here, and the one we just looked at. And they are magnificent. This is Helmut. This is his group. He was there, and I think they were German. I think that's why he did the tour.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Yep, we were there in the snow as well, Ruth. We go there all weather.
Wow.
I think this was me because I remember someone taking a picture of me, taking a picture of them.
Somebody's gonna go through the stones.
Always, always. Looks like it's slightly thingy. Well, if you're interested in a few stones, let me just quickly show you some even better stones. Hebrides, where are you? Hebrides? I just saw you. Here we go. I might actually have. I do. I've got. I'll just have to show you the pictures I've got. So we're doing this tour next year. I'm doing 3 of these tours next year, and it's our Hebrides tour. And if you like standing stones, we are literally have so many standing stones. It's unbelievable. So let's go. So I'll open, this is our tour from last year. They weren't all my pictures, but you can tell. So this is us just arriving. This is my group. You can see there I am there with my bags and just meeting our driver. There was a lovely man called Ian from, this is as we just arrived on the Isle of Lewis.
oh,
Okay, so this is, we just got into Stornoway.
oh. That's where they say my family's from.
Yeah, well, there you go. You need to come on my Hebrides tour, Dee. Take you back to your ancestry. Now this is down here
So
is,
it's far away where they make good haggis.
Oh,
they make a black pudding here.
Black pudding, okay.
Yeah, they're famous for their black pudding. This is down a little beach, which is right next to a place called the Butt of Lewis. And we took them all down, and my group were just all having a bit of fun, hanging about, because I got them into the sea. There's my grandfather. I brought him on this tour with us last August.
oh,
So he was having a good time.
oh, that's awesome.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
There's my
That's
guest,
fantastic.
Paul, and my grandfather. They had a rare time. There were only 2 gentlemen on the
Oh
tour.
my goodness.
Now, this is Callanish. So these stones are about 5,000 years old. And they are actually what they modeled for Outlander off of these stones.
Wow.
And also, if you've seen the Disney Pixar film Brave, they also used these stones as inspiration for those stones. So these are quite special in terms of people who like Neolithic stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, pre-writing everything down, how these people would have lived, what they would have done with it, it's fascinating. There's my grandfather. I, at this stage, was standing behind one of these stones, and he was for a human sacrifice. So,
God.
Yeah.
as you do, this is up there, I think, because they gave me some of these pictures. You see?
Look how many stones there are.
Oh, there's so many. I'm behind one of these. I think I'm literally behind either this one or this one. And this is Les. Les is a friend of my granda. And my granddad was actually staying with him while we were there. He went to see his friend for 2 days. Les came with us. He's also a tour guide on Lewis.
Oh,
And I brought him with for 2 days. He's just so much fun. And for our next tour, we'll be doing the same thing again, because it's nice to get a local perspective. You know, what's it like?
Absolutely.
Where can I go shopping? You know, and I don't know. He's doing some sort of dance. I was making fun of him after this. This is a beach. Now we're at a place called Benbecula, which is part of the Uists, and we did a mini hike. I say mini hike. The girls were like, "How much longer?" I was like, "Right, we've got it easy. Like, this is only like, I mean, it was only like an hour and a half, the hike. I mean, it was hardly anything really. If you think about that, it was probably 6 miles, 5 miles, something like that.
Oh.
No, it can't even have been that. Maybe 4 or 5 miles.
Yeah.
And it's all flat though. Ruth, you could take anything. It's all flat.
Yeah.
There's no hills, but there is a nice beach at the bottom. This is in the museum on the South Uist, and this is the marriage stone.
Oh.
So you know Gillibriccia, who's the bard in Outlander?
Mhm.
He comes with us on this day because he grew up, he's from South Uist. So he comes with us on this day, and this building where they have the museum used to be his primary school. That's
Oh,
quite funny. There's our driver. He was awesome. And our ferry had just been cancelled, so we were a little bit annoyed, but it was fine. We got our accommodation sorted, and they had this baby lamb. The place we stay is actually my children's teacher's parents' house. He's from, because they're in the Gaelic medium. Obviously, there's no local Gaelic speakers here, native Gaelic speakers here. So most of the Gaelic teachers come from somewhere else. So the teachers in my kids' school, so one comes from the Isle of Lewis. That's my daughter. Well, she's just left her class now. She's from the Isle of Lewis. And the other class is Mr. McPhee, and his parents run this croft and this farm and a youth hostel now and a bed and breakfast. And we stay at the youth hostel, and the youth hostel is called Nunton House. It's a very nice youth hostel. It's five stars. And the good thing about it is that we book it out exclusively to us. So girls, the ladies say, okay, we're happy to share a room together. They're all en suite. All the rooms are en suite. And you've got a kitchen area and everything to look after your plans. And they've also got the B&B if you don't want it. So it's them having a laugh. Yep. So we went to drown our sorrows in the local pub. So this is Dana, and she was actually pregnant at this point, and she told me in our last night, and she just suffered a number of disappointments, as you can probably understand what I mean by that. And very disheartened, and she just found out she was pregnant and awfully anxious. And I said, you know what, this one's going to be fine. And she was born 3 months ago.
Oh,
Our little slange baby. And this, I never went in here. This is the castle on the island of Barra. This is in Castle Bay. And you have to get a little boat to get there. So I was somewhere over here. I stayed. It was Zagat that took the girls over. And this is at the beach on the Vattersee, which is part of Barra. Well, considered part of Barra.
that's beautiful.
It is one of the most beautiful beaches you'll ever see. We kind of took over the whole place. This is coming back. This is now at Kilchurn Castle, or Kilhurn Castle. This is now coming back to Glasgow. There, I'm trying to get into the castle. It's a very sad story, actually. We got there, and I said to the group, you've got two choices. We can either go to Inverary Castle, or we can go to Kilchurn Castle. And Kilchurn Castle is one of the kind of most scenic ruins in the country, so everybody wanted to do that. And it's free entry as well. So we made our way there, and we're walking up the path, and it's not the easiest path to walk up, but they just open the door so you can just walk in and out the castle as you please during a specific set of hours. So we got here about, it must have been between 2 and 3 o'clock. It wasn't very late. And we got up there, and the door was shut. So I'm going, let me in, let me in. And no word of a lie, I heard somebody inside shout, help, right? Inside here.
Oh my God.
And there's actually a picture there. That's my face. I literally just heard it.
Oh dear.
And what we discovered was when we were walking back down towards the bus, because we couldn't get in, it was locked. This group of people started walking towards us, and Agib said politely to the guy, oh, it's shut, mate, you know, just so he wasn't going to waste their time, so that they knew it was closed. And he went, we know, we're here looking for the boy who went missing. So sadly, two guys or three guys went on a wee boat that right next to a loch there at Loch Awe, and they went on the wee boat, and they're from Glasgow, I think, and he was only 22, and the boat capsized, and two of the friends managed to get onto the island, and the other boy was missing, and they did find him afterwards. Sadly, he had passed away. He was only 22 years of age. When we got there, we were feeling quite disappointed we couldn't get in, and I'm saying to the group, oh, just my luck, I mean, it's never shut. And then we found out that, in fact, the next week or so, we found out they announced that he had actually died. But when we were there, they were launching a major search party. It's funny
creepy.
that I heard help, you know?
Yeah. That's creepy.
It's not the first time I've seen a creepy ghosty there. This is yes, we're at the end of each tour we go for lunch. You'll remember this place, Ruth and Sherry. This is where we had our end of party thing.
Yeah.
This is at the Isla Inn.
Yes.
Look how happy they are.
I think they were
A happy
just
place.
enjoying their pint.
Yes.
Aww.
It was dark when we were there.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was, wasn't it? Because this is still August. This is a good, month almost before.
We had a long day on that Friday. It was a
We
long.
did.
Aww.
Oh, there we go.
the
That's
pretty
me.
cat.
I wrote that in the sand. I love Hebrides Lunch Tours 2019.
That's cool.
Ah,
So this is just coming back to, that's just to the end. So I thought I would show you some nice Hebrides pictures.
that
because
was cool. Thank you.
you're
Yeah, very
welcome. We
cool.
have some videos as well of
Very
some
cool.
places. People, like I said, next year I'm going 3 times, not just the usual 2. Did I go twice? Yeah, I went. Yeah, three times next year. I'm going there, so it's going to be good fun. Looking forward to getting out to my just peace and quiet and solitude, as if I haven't had enough of that in the past 4 months.
Lord.
No, guys, I live with 3 children, a dog, a cat, and a partner. So I don't know what solitude
full
or
life.
peace and quiet is. Yeah, very full. I'm looking for some solitude somewhere. So no. So any other questions?
No, that was great tonight. Thank you.
Yes,
Right, it was just a bit ad hoc. I just thought, let's go where you want to go. So again, I've recorded it so I can send it back to you. So if there's anything that you wanted to rewatch, you'll have that. And then hopefully next week sometime I will announce our new virtual tour dates, because they won't be the same. I'll do them on a rotational basis. And I'll figure that what I'm doing with these other tours, because I know I need to. I've got to do what I need to do, but I need to make sure that I know what I'm selling before I sell it.
Oh, okay.
But there's not going to be a tour Thursday?
No.
I mean, I could do a tour, but I've decided on Thursday I'm going to go visit my friend, because I've not seen her since lockdown. So I'm going to go visit her on Thursday, just in her outside. That's what I'll be doing on Thursday. It's my first kind of full day off, and I'll be doing a lot of the administration. I might put something out on the Facebook, so if you keep an eye on the Facebook, you know, like on a live, I might just do a short snippet. If there's an update I can give people, I might do that on Thursday, but there will not be a tour on Thursday.
Okay.
And in fact, while I've got you on the phone, let me just come in here. I will make sure that you cannot book it. Oops. There you go. So you can't book Thursday now at all. So there you go.
Okay.
Okay, just in case.
Are we scheduled for the same week next year that we were scheduled for this week?
No,
We don't know yet.
I have got your dates. I think you got an email sent out. You would have got an email maybe a couple of weeks ago, Sherry. It might be in your
For some
spam.
reason, I'm not getting any emails from
Not
you.
getting them. I've got, do you know what? Just give me a wee second. I'm going to, and forgive me because it's not in my mind at the moment.
Well, it's late.
No, don't worry. Let me just quickly check it for you though. Because it was actually Kim who sent it out for me.
Okay.
She's been helping me out every now and then. She's not supposed to, but she's very nice, and she's
That's good.
yeah,
Nice people are nice to have. All right.
Yeah.
very good.
Definitely.
Um,
Especially you with D's. Oh, having to work in the hospital.
Yeah. It's crazy. But,
I'm so glad
You
I'm
know-
retired from hospital.
well, that'll be me next year.
Yeah. You'll
I'm
enjoy
determined.
it.
I'm determined. My kids have been after me for a while now.
What do you do at the hospital?
I'm a surgery nurse.
Oh boy, yeah. I was a physical therapist.
Yeah, it's I mean, I love it. You know, I keep saying to my kids, what am I gonna do? So, but next year I'll be 70, so I need to stop.
It's time.
It is. That's what, yeah. It's time.
So the answer to your question is the 7th to the 11th of September.
Okay.
Oh,
And I've got, I can see it was sent out. What I can do is see, I don't know if I can do it. Maybe share you the link.
That was this year, 7th to the 11th.
Yes, so it's the same, it's exactly the same date, 7th to 11th, because it works out. Let me just double check
The
that.
11th is a Saturday, which is when Scott's party.
Let me just let's double
It
check
was the
that.
6th to the 10th to make it work right.
The 6th to the 10th, then.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is the 6th to the 10th. No,
Okay.
it is. Yeah, it's the 6th to the
Just to make
10th.
sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I read that wrong. No, it's absolutely the 6th to the 10th of.
And we'll be getting into Scotland around the 1st of September.
Okay.
And we'll be leaving again on about the 14th or 15th.
Okay.
wow, that's
Yes. Yeah.
That's quite a chunk of time.
2 weeks.
Well, the way we did it
You
almost
spend the
2
whole
years
time with-
ago, we landed in Edinburgh and just kind of decompressed and adjusted our clocks. My husband has a
The door.
camera at the front door, and when somebody approaches the front door, the chimes go off. So
That may have been my chimes.
no, this was our chimes.
That was yours? Okay.
Yes. But we leave for Glasgow on Sunday, or Saturday. I can't remember. Yeah, we get to our accommodation in Glasgow Sunday night. So then we meet
Catriona. Yeah, on Monday.
Monday morning for our 5-day tour.
Oh, so you're with her for 5 days.
Yes.
Okay.
And she
Going up
survived.
Geez. I think
Yeah,
she,
we're going up to Inverness for 2 nights and then Fort William for 2 nights.
Yeah.
Right.
wow.
Never been to Fort William. That's a new place. And I do want to ride the train.
Good. So we'll soon, like, obviously you can book that when you originally booked before, and then thankfully you never booked that again. Like, you know, so we'll get that sorted next year.
Yes.
So about
We don't have to do that.
April.
We don't know what's going to happen next
Well,
year. yet.
exactly. You've got, like, I honestly can't foresee this extending. I think, like we mentioned just before we finished, we mentioned a few things. First of all, airlines are, like, there's no way that you can social distance on an airplane or have viable safety because it's recycled air. So you might be sitting far apart from one another, but you're breathing in a recycled air. So if somebody's got it, as long as people have masks though, hopefully that is going to help. But the way I see it is they will either have a cure, or as Dee said, one of the good things that is starting to show, although you did say it's younger people, but there is now reports that it is starting to weaken. It's not as strong. However, because remember our bodies, when it first came, our bodies had never experienced anything like it, so it was much more extreme. Now it seems to be almost running its course. However, in saying that, it's still going to be quite terrible for those who get it and those who are vulnerable to these types of things anyway.
Yeah, so infectious.
And it might get another strain from that, but hopefully it'll become more like flu with more strains. It needs to kind of reinvent itself all the time, and our immunity is much better equipped to deal with it or handle it. So that's what they're looking at the moment, but it's kind of also wishful thinking. So I think we have to kind of just ride the wave, see what's going to happen. But I'm of the opinion, regardless of what's going to happen, things are going to start to get back to normal. I mean, whatever that is, and I think you're right, because I don't think it's going to be like pre-COVID normal. I don't think we're going to see the same level of travelers, and from outside the UK at least. I think a lot of people who were planning to come here this year, maybe a few extra people will come next year, but it's not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to get a flight to Scotland. It's going to be a while before that starts to come back. So it might be okay for you anyway in terms of social distancing. We're quite lucky, as you know, guys. We don't do massive tours anyway, so we do smaller group tours.
Yes, it helps.
So like our Hebrides tour and our Jacobites tour, they're for 16 people, but I always do it anyway. I always take a bigger coach. And the reason why I do that is because people have luggage. And if you're stuck in a coach, I don't want people like sardines. I want people to get comfortable. So actually, it's almost as if we've got our own rows to ourselves, like in the last tour we did. So it's just a case of, seeing what's going to happen. But we're better equipped to handle it, being a smaller operator than some of the others.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed the tour we had with you.
Oh,
in
yeah.
18. It was small. It was very intimate, and it was just delightful.
More than delightful. I don't know. There's not a word for it to make it. It really was.
It is, I mean, that's the thing, like, and I think, you know, I was talking to a lady today on Facebook. She's actually just replied, because I did get a little bit narky with her, because she posted up on her wall, or on this Facebook group. It's called The Land of Scotland or something like that. And she posted on it, the Boswell Hotel in Portree on Skye has been amazing. They're fair, they're great. They didn't need to give me a refund, but they did. And I thought, you know, that's nice that you're saying that. However, not everybody's in that position to do that right now.
Right.
And the problem is that if you are defining good customer service by the fact that somebody has a bigger buffer than the next guy, it's not setting the right precedent for how we can manage things. And I did get on my soapbox a little bit about it, because we've lost so many businesses already, although I'm fairly confident in myself because I know what I need to do. But not everybody's like that, you know what I mean? Not everybody is in control of their own, what they do. A lot of people are relying on somebody else, employees, stuff like that. So I explained that, and hopefully that will start to help other people realize that this is an issue. It's not like this place is cancelled on her or I've cancelled on you. This is something that has happened in the world.
Right.
I didn't do nothing. I want to take you. But the only one losing is me. You might be losing your holiday, ladies, but I'm losing my livelihood. It's a big difference there. So it's just trying to put that across in a polite way. But at the same time, I'm hoping that this is going to create a better standard of the people who are left. And what I mean by that is Scotland, I would say in the past 3 years, and I said this rather diplomatically last week, but there's a lot of people who have come through the woodwork thinking that they can be tour guides without any qualifications or anything to back that up, and people are paying them good money, and they're not really getting what I think they should be getting out of it. So I think this is hopefully going to teach other people that this isn't easy money. This is something you need to work hard at, and hopefully we'll have a better standard at the end of this. Or those, like you said, you know, they've had 6 months, they need to study, get their history right, go out to the locations and do their own homework.
Right.
I've had 3 people now, 3 people who've worked for me, 2 of them only for 2 months, who started up their own operation. I trained them. And it's just the way it goes, you know, it's life. But, you know, I'm kind of like sitting there, I won't wish anyone bad, but I am kind of sitting there going, yeah, you thought this was easy, hey? All of you boys out there hanging on the coattails of us girls, you're going to find out it's not that easy. Anyway.
I don't know.
I know one.
If they were killed, I'm all for it. Kidding.
Your one is slightly different, Sherry, because in all fairness to him, he worked with me for 3 years. There was going to be a point where he needed to go. I don't know, which one are you talking about?
No, you don't. And I won't say.
It's either the one you went with or not.
No.
Okay, then that's the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more than one. I know exactly who you're talking about. Okay, yeah. No, the one that you went with, he was with us for 3 years. So that's fair enough. You've done your stint, you know, you've learned the trade, off you go. But 2 months, guys, 2 months.
That was short.
Yeah, it was, you know, taking notes and then at my expense. So, there you go. A little bit of girl talk at the end.
And the beginning today, anyway.
I know.
It's wonderful.
Well, there you go. So thank you, ladies. I'm going to get off to my bed.
Thank you.
I'm going to have some supper with my brother.
I'll go and enjoy yourself. Enjoy all your days. Hopefully, Dee, it's coming up for the weekend soon. So hopefully, I hope that actually you have to stay in, and it maybe forces people to stay in,
Yeah.
and hopefully you start going the other way.
Yeah, I hope so. Doesn't look that way to me, but I hope so.
I
I'll
hope
put
so
you on
too.
my prayer list, Dee, for your
Yes.
safety and
Thank you.
protection.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank
I
you.
have a quick question. It's off the COVID, off that subject. Where did the fourth river get its name?
Don't know.
Did
It's not in
something-
terms of the number 4 anyway. I have to say that because I was driving along and I said, this is the River Forth. And I had a lady in the vehicle and she said, okay, what's the
Where?
third?
There's
Where's the other
one.
3?
Honestly, it took me 10 minutes to understand what she was saying because she was meaning, is it the number 4? And I said, no, it's the 4th. She was like, but what's the first? And I'm going, oh, well, you've got the Clyde and you've got this. And she goes, no, what's the...
I've wondered that for a good while, and I've never
You never asked it. No,
Yeah.
it's the origins of the word are actually not very well known, because it comes from a long time ago.
Well,
So
like
we're
the
not
first of the fourth.
Yeah, the first of the fourth. I know it's a bit of a tongue twister. The first, we know what that means, but the
Yes.
fourth itself, the origins of the name of the
Right.
river.
Well, of
There's
course, we have
speculations on it.
July 4th coming up this weekend.
Yeah, July 4th. I'll go to the 4th and celebrate the 4th.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to do.
There you
San,
go.
I'll take a wee picture for you, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Yes.
it's going to be good fun. But no,
So-
thanks for
This was
joining.
fun. This was
It was,
fun.
wasn't
Thank
it?
you.
Yeah, it was very fun. Very,
Enjoyed it.
very fun.
Very much. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough.
You're
Oh,
welcome, ladies.
It's
I
You're
feel the
welcome.
exact same way.
It's just a kind of a reach
Like
out
Dave.
to Scotland kind of feeling. I just love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Jimmy got to meet her today, sort of. Jimmy got to meet Catriona today.
Oh, your
little
son.
bit.
Okay.
Yes, he called while we were talking before you came on. So,
Yeah, that was fun. And yeah, we had a few laughs trying to persuade him to come to Scotland. So
right, working on it. Okay.
awesome,
Thanks
All right.
ladies. I'll see you soon. Hey,
Okay.
Hope so.
Good night, everybody.
take care.
Bye.
Bye, Dee. Bye.
Bye.
Take care,
Take
everybody.
care. Be safe.
Wear your masks.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.